Test. Test. This thing picking up? Okay, it's picking up. Good. Okay, so I'm going to revise the item changes that I made to my design document for World of Warcraft Classic Plus. No, I did not work for Blizzard. You can look into the description of the video if you want to know what kind of stuff this document has. Anyway, I'm going to get right to it. First off, the outline looks fine. Now, before I go any further, I want to go over something here. So, there's a few different options I can go for endgame itemization for stuff like and such and whatnot. Option number 1. Make an endless treadmill with more and more and with a few tiers of raids per expansion pack. Or, yes, per expansion pack, which will make you constantly have to keep raiding in order to keep your gear up to date and make people feel bad about their hard-earned epics suddenly becoming garbage when the next major patch comes out. Option number 2. Instead of making an endless treadmill, make a game where you can get the carrot on the stick and keep it forever. All raids will be Tier 1, and no Tier 2 raids will ever be released. Or expansion packs. This will eventually enable the creation. This will provide an excuse to make Warcraft 4 at some point. Option number 3. All raids are Tier 1 forever, but new raids are released with major content patches that are also Tier 1, which inevitably contain side grades for various specs. For most, if not all, specs. Because if it didn't contain side grades, then nobody would do it more than a few times. Or more than once or twice. In which case, it does do it to the content and maybe race for world first or do speedrunning or stuff like that. Although if they are speedrunning or trying to parse, then they actually do it more than once. Although they'd rather get better gear. Anyway, yeah. I'm picking option number 2. Instead of making an endless treadmill, this will be a game where you can get the carrot on a stick and keep it forever. Your hard-earned epics will stay epic for the entire lifespan of the game. However, it will result in the game having a limited lifespan. Just like Vanilla Classic did, except that it went into the Burn Crusade and Blizzard really botched that and... yeah, I mean, anyway, I'm not going to deal with expansion packs. Oh. This is not supposed to be here. Okay. So yes, I generally want to, with the items, make every talent tree special slot forever gear be composed entirely of high level 65 epic items and a legendary weapon, which is strictly better than the epic items, with a few exceptions. A few exceptions such as probably stuff like Wolf's Head Hell and the weapon skill ring that replaces Edgemaster's handguards. Anyway, I also want to make every talent tree's pre-raid special slot gear be composed entirely, barred a few exceptions, of high level 63 blue or epic, mostly blue items, including an epic weapon, I'm just gonna take out the mostly blue part because I recently made. Yeah, actually, pre-raven slot. Okay, never mind that part. Yes, blue are epic, mostly blue items that are at level 63, so character level 58, which includes an epic weapon in order to decrease the power gap between raiders and non-raiders. I want to make every dungeon and raid after and including Ultimate contain at least one exclusive epic item. I want to make specs of classes that lacks gearing options have better gearing options. I want to make no item that drops exclusively from a 40-man raid be vendor trash in the eyes of every spec or every class, for PvP or not. I want to give pole arms, fist weapons, crossbows, and melee staves some love. And I want to do what I can to help throwing weapons. I want to make certain items suck less. Make certain items suck less, for example, by replacing the tier 2.5 set spell damage and healing with other stats. I could actually... I actually want to rephrase that completely. Make items generally have stats that players of the intended classes and specs care about. Yes, that's what I'll replace that with. That's a better way to put that. Paste. I want to make endgame set items not be over-centralized and not be the end-all be-all for most spec. For a lot of spec. Yeah, for the specs that they're used for. Or nothing like that. Though that's only really the case for tier 3 stuff. Anyway, I want them to not be a big, huge thing and just be merely a thing. Anyway, next up, I also want to disallow many types of items from being hyper-offensive or hyper-defensive in order to help with PvP balance. By making PvP fights... Yeah, I'll get to that later. I also want to do something about weapon skill being an over-centralized set without removing it from the game. Bonuses to weapon skill, that is. I want to make standard level 45 food and water once again be relevant in the endgame, which will indirectly make essence mangoes be useful. Paste. I want to make health per 5 stop being a bad stat, and I want to make MP5 stop being useless in most PvP. And I want to do things that are related to other sections, such as the manual crowd pummeler change. So, item level and quality changes, first off. The separate specific sands and its shards will be turned into legendary items. Will be turned into legendary items. Because they deserve to be legendary. The Draconic for Dummies chapters are now epic items as it's a completed book. The item level of Deanship Claymore will be increased from 29 to 31, which reflects its level requirement. The item level of Eye of Flame will be decreased by 1 to that of a normal epic item with its character level requirement. The damage dealt by Hydrocane shall be increased so that it deals damage as a normal blue item instead of hitting like a green item. And, hold on here. It is level 29? Hydrocane. Level 28. No, level 27. So, 32 divided by 2.1. Yeah, it's gonna have... Yeah, it doesn't have much frost resistance, and, I guess, I'm gonna get rid of his frost resistance. I believe it's gonna be free. However, I'm not gonna finalize that yet. It's gonna... I have yet to do most re-itemization. I just laid out the groundwork for it. Anyways, legendary items shall be, quotation mark, buffed, quotation mark, to have stats and damage, but not armor since they're all weapons, as if Yeah, I can leave out that part. They have stats and damage as if there are 6 item levels higher than an epic item of an equivalent item level, which is the difference between blues and epics and between greens and blues. This will mean that all legendary items with buffs that their stats are as if they are 6 item levels higher than they actually were without increasing their actual item levels. So, as a result, legendary weapons will be strictly better than epic weapons. I'm just going to rephrase this. Legendary items will be item level 65 F weapons, and they'll have stats as if they were item level equals 71 epic weapons. There, that's a much better way of saying that. Much less confusing. Case. Ruined Tome and Bone Dust will be great items instead of white items because they are useless beyond getting vendor. Elemental Circle is... Oh, Unroll Lane. Elemental Circle is now a blue item and will be buffed accordingly. Elemental Circle is from a quest called Ramsey, if I recall correctly. Or something in Stratfall. Ramsey, yeah, that's it. The other reward is Royal Seal of Lexus, or you can get this thing. Why the fuck did he get this over that anyway? Maybe you're really desperate for fire resistant gear. But, no one's gonna be that desperate. Anyway, Tree and Spade will be turned into a blue item and has drop rate increased accordingly due to a new epic item dropping from the Diamond Tribute chest. I don't want the bottle going to waste. I'll turn the Green Tower into an item level 44, character level 39 item, and buff it accordingly. This way, it'll be better than Aegis and the Scarlet Crusade, and actually be worth something at the auction house. I'll turn Killmaim, due to its significance in the game's lore, specifically its power level in Warcraft 3, it'll be turned into an item level 65, character level 60 world drop epic item. It used to be this. Yeah, it used to be this little dinky thing. Yeah, so by turning it into an item level 65, character level 60 world drop epic item, like T-Boo's, this thing gets 3.9 speed and a humongous lifesteal proc if its only stat, but it has low weapon damage. All epic loot from world bosses, except Eye of Shadow, will be turned into buy not equip, item level 63, character level 58 epic items. Nobody should have to compete for world boss spawns in order to have best and soft forever gear, but people should still get a huge reward for killing a world boss, which they will if the epics are BOE. And so it can be auctioned off for a few thousand gold in the game, where 1,000 gold is a big deal. By the way, 1,000 gold is a big deal. I'm going to be keeping inflation in check in this game. I've killed off boosting, I've killed off melee cleaving, I've killed off spell cleaving, and I've gotten rid of other sources of non-competitive income. So yeah, gold is actually going to be fucking worth something in this game, even after the first few months. First several months. And I've done some stuff to crack down on botters. Even beyond just having actual game master on. Anyway. The item level of all plate armor that's below item level 45 will be excuse me. The item levels of all plate armor that's below item level 45 will be increased to item level 45. It's worse at a level 35 to 37. It's worse at character level 35 to 37 plate has low armor than a boss is supposed to have level 37 loot drops a level 40 item. Copy. Here, let me show you what I mean. Saltstone Girdle. Look at this thing. It has 149 armor and random enchantment. It requires level 40 equip and is plates. But then look at this thing. Gothic Plate Girdle. It goes from 149 armor to 246 armor. And still requires level 40 equip. And it has a random enchantment. The reason it's trying to do this is because it's trying to make the transition from male to plate. With a nice little curve there. However, that curve is too consequential. What I want to look at here is an eye level 40 green belt. So this belt, Jazzerain belt, is eye level 40 and has 130 armor with random enchantment. This, however, is eye level 40 and only has 149 armor with random enchantment. That's barely even better. This, however, is way the hell better than... That's not a fair comparison. Oh wow, there aren't any green eye level 40 belts. 45 belts. Well, whatever. This thing has 143 armor and this says 246 armor. Yeah, that's way the hell better. Anyway. Yeah, so you can see what I mean. Shields have the same curve in Old Classic, but they will not in this game. Excuse me, no, they will have the same curve in this game. Yeah, shields will have the same curve. However, it'll be slightly changed. Anyway, a Nixia Hide backpack will be turned into a blue item like all other 18-slot bags in the game are. Because, it's just the color of the item name. That's all it means. Little nitpicky thing. In order to avoid a minor faction-based conflict in the pre-raid endgame reward system, Brain Hacker's item level will be lowered to 58, and its character level requirement will be lowered to 53, and proc chance will be lowered accordingly. Here, let me show you the endgame reward system. No, actually, I'm just going to type it out for you instead of looking for the documents I did anyway. So, first off, number 1, you gain 60, and you're in various greens and blues of item level equals 64 or lower. Averaging at, say, item level 58. Number 2, you do a ton of 10/20 man raids and get some stuff crafted, and now you're decked out and eye level equals 63, character level equals 58, blue items. Number 3, optional. You do a ton of you do way the hell more 10/20 man raids and get epic stuff crafted raids and get epics out of them. You get epic stuff crafted for you, and or you buy epic crafted stuff. By crafted blues, and you get exalted with various endgame factions. You now have a bunch of eye level equals 63, character level equals 58, of eye level equals 63 epic items, which are potentially character level 58. In a dish, but you're still wearing some blues. I'm all 63 blues. This is the best possible gear that you can get without doing 40-man raids or getting a high PvP rank. Number 4, you do 40-man raids and eventually get decked out in eye level equals 65 epics, which are character level 60. And in number 5, you finally get a legendary weapon, which is essentially an eye level equals 71 epic item. Epic weapon. A legendary weapon or two. There, eye level goes there. essentially I'm level 71 epic items. And that is the final step of the endgame reward system. You get your legendary weapons out of raids. So power levels aren't going to be completely out through the roof and game breaking, or nothing like that. There's actually quite a lot of people who think of Vanilla Classics gear got out of hand by the time Phase 5 came out, if not before that. So usually they don't think it got out of hand before that. Anyways, yeah, so that's the end game reward system I'm going for. For PvE. Just for PvE. For PvP, I'll get to that one when I do the PvP video. Stream. Not video, stream. Anyway, next up. All set items obtained from the Scourge Invasion will be turned into green items, and so get nerfed accordingly. Let's say the pre-raid method slot and Skullbance, Strapholm, Naxxramas, the Ruins of Andorhal, Deathhold, and Naxxramas, which wouldn't work out so well if items that can only be obtained from a one-time event. All enemy-specific loot from Mervantion, Lord Blackwood, and Balphazon will be item level 65, character level equals 60 green items, and so be nerfed accordingly. Less items for a one-time event potentially be pre-raid, but slot for this strategy auto roll in certain places, in certain raids, PvE or not. In certain raids. Yeah, for this strategy auto roll, PvE or not. Copy. Paste. These are Scourge Invasion bosses, by the way. The Bird of No Absorber rings will have their eye levels and qualities change as such. At neutral, you get an eye level 53 green ring. It's really not that good. It's really not good at all, in fact. And friendly, because it's an eye level 59 green, it's still not really good. And honored, it becomes an eye level 65 green. It's something, but you can get better stuff from 10-man and 20-man raids. And Revered is an eye level 65 blue, which is better than the stuff that you can get from 10 and 20-man raids, depending on how much you value itemization. And in Exalted, it becomes an eye level 65 epic item, which is 40-man raid quality, and is actually good. Item additions and related changes. If it wasn't already the case, then the Unholy Wrath suffix will be available for all items that can normally have up extra suffixes, not just low ones, which will flesh out the game. Which, copy, paste. And I want to actually say suffix here. The and of deflection, item suffix will be added to the game. This suffix can only be found on gloves, bracers, rings, and two-handed melee weapons, but not one-handed ones because they don't have enough itemization points. And this suffix will increase parry chance and attack power, or in some cases it does grant 1% parry chance, if there aren't enough leftover itemization points for bonus attack power to exist. The of regeneration, that is health per 5, suffix will be renamed to of rejuvenation. The of concentration item suffix will be renamed to of replenishment. This is actually because of some changes to HP5 and MP5 to make the names make more sense or something like that. I actually don't remember so good. Anyways, the of stamina and of defense suffixes will be replaced with an of survival suffix, which grants stamina and plus defense with half the itemization budget spent on each stat. It'll only be available on the same items that of defense was available on in patch 1.12. The of defense suffix. More unnecessary words, but It sounds better that way, you say it. And of recoil, item suffix will be added to the game. E.g., for example, Exalted Shield of Recoil. This suffix may only be found on shields and will deal physical damage when you block an attack, a la shield spikes. Except it stacks with shield spikes. 5 new stats will be added to the game. Fire resistance penetration, frost resistance penetration, nature resistance penetration, shadow resistance penetration, and arcane resistance penetration. Which should make resistance penetration be more desirable. Make it be easier to stack resistance penetrations that you care about. Anyways. Well, and therefore make people care more about it in the first place. Anyway, offhand frills, if you resistance penetration. Offhand frills of random substances will not also be capable of picking of agility, of the tiger, of strength, of the monkey, of the bear, and of the boar, providing more offhand frill options for fail druids. Ooh, did I remember of the hawk? I think it's called hawk. Falcon? No, not it. Whichever one grants agility and spirit. I don't remember. Damn. I'm just gonna look at this here. It's no, not Falcon. Of the hawk? What's it? Agility spirit. Wolf. Then I remember wolf. No, I didn't remember of the wolf. Damn. Of the boar. And of the wolf. Copy. Paste. A bit of a little temporary changelog documents that I have to scroll down until later. Remember to enable offhand frills to get the of the wolf suffix. Okay. Due to its lore significance, the axe Seraphil is no longer obtainable by players. It's now wielded by Rexar. Seraphil. This is Seraphil. You won't be able to get it anymore. Yeah, that's not where it's scrolling down. Anyway, next up. Yeah, it actually has lore significance. You can look it up in WoW of your assumption if you want. Gamepedia is the same move there. Basilon and Ogleflint, the bosses in Ragefire Chasm, will have 3 find and pick up green items on their loot tables, sent across both bosses, of item level 18 and character level 13, in order to encourage more people to do Ragefire Chasm in the first place. Obviously, each drop will only drop 1 of their items when killed. Furthermore, Basilon will also have a 1% chance to drop an item level 20, character level 15, slow blue one-hand sword when killed, instead of a green item. Instead of a green item. Instead of a green. Jurgosh the Invoker will have an extra item level 18, character level 13, green item on the loot table, and similarly for Time of Grinding Hungerer, in order to encourage more people to reach Firecasting in the first place. This is not me making both of them drop 2 greens every time, but rather adding a third possibility for both. 2 new bind on pickup blue items will be added to the loot table of Grubbis, who the Horde never bothers killing, from Novergods, that players don't skip Grubbis so often. If I recall correctly, the Alliance gets a quest to kill him. But yeah, I want the Horde to have a reason to kill him too. Anyway, next up. Arcadus, the final boss of Ultimate, will be given a 1% chance to drop an item level 49, character level 44 epic fist weapon of 3.0 speed called Fist of the Stone Watcher. It has strength, bonus armor, and 2 other stats. 2 other stats that are 3-part is outdated. This will give people a bit of encouragement to do Ultimate. Especially twins. I mean, especially aspiring twins. because that 5th weapon, obviously, is going to be best in slot in the level 49 bracket. For quite a few specs. Anyway, next up. When Baelgard dies, you'll be able to pull a nearby lever. This lever has a 30-second cast time to pull and generates 3 dozen aggro per second on all NPCs within a 200-yard radius. And when you finish pulling the lever, the gates behind Baelgard open, revealing a single large room containing very many animal rage reservoirs and a cache of Thorazon, which contains a few ILO 57 character level 52 blue items and a 1% chance of an ILO 57 character level 52 epic casting staff. And do note that in Vanilla Classic, there were already gates behind Baelgard, not making those gates contain something without, like, making a whole new instance behind it. It's lazy, honestly, but at least it's something. A rare blue item. A blue item with a low drop rate is added to the loot table of Tendrous Warpwood of Dharma West. A large intact log from its corpse. It cannot be vented, and it is an item that begins the quest chain in level 58. That is the class restrictions of Shaman and Warrior and the racial restriction of Tauren. The quest is to get taken to Thin Bluff and Avatar until your Tauren totem, which you will be able to use at the level 63 blue slow two-hand mace. It'll have whatever in the quest. It'll have whatever the hell in the quest chain. The quest chain will have whatever. The quest chain will make you do whatever as long as it fits both pre-Burning Crusade WoW and looks like it was written before 2007. Said weapon will have 2 variants. One for warriors and one for enhancement shamans. And both warriors and shamans will be able to pick Ivory Ward. This is to flesh out the game. Haste. Whoops. Haste. An I level 63, character level 58, world drop epic 2.2 speed staff called Ancestral Staff from Warcraft 2 will be added to the game that grants the wearer an aura that grants each beneficiary plus 2% to their melee, range, and spellcasting speeds, and it also has on-use effect, 5-minute cooldown. This summons 2 level 58 Troll Berserkers to fight for you for 30 seconds, and it has no other stats. 2 red paladins and enhanced shamans both get access to an I level 63 epic fast 2-hand weapon. Oh yeah, they get Blade of Anon. That's right, Blade of Anon. Never mind. Yeah. It's on 2. Yes, and it has no other stats. Note that all 6 aura granting items in the game will stack with themselves and each other indefinitely. Well, up to 5 times, because no one or 5 group members. Anyway. Said Troll Berserkers deal 130 average damage per hit and have the defense of a typical non-player character of that level that is not elite. And they have 15% crit chance like all temporarily summoned creatures do. 15 crit and spell crit. Not that they care about the spell crit. Balthazar, the final boss of Strat Live, will have a 1% chance to drop an I level 63, character level 58 epic trinket called Fang of the Dreadlord, Edict equipped, which gives you an aura that grants each beneficiary a buff that grants the beneficiary a 15 proc per minute chance to heal for 8 to 9 health on melee hit, which is Vampiric Aura for Warcraft 3. Which is supposed to be Vampiric Aura for Warcraft 3. Do note that all non-class procs in the game no longer scale with spell damage, healing, or attack power in any way, shape, or form. Although it does scale with stuff like Nightfall's proc, for example, that just directly increases damage taken. Anyway, next up. More Greyhoof will have a 1% chance to drop an I level 63 Fine unequipped epic trinket, Edict equipped, called Enchanted Bramble, which gives you plus 3 stamina and gives you an aura that deals 4 nature thorns damage to those that hit its beneficiaries in melee, which is supposed to be Thorns Aura from Warcraft 3. I wish I could make this not suck. I wish I could make this not suck, but Thorns damage just costs too many itemization points to make that happen. To make that not happen. To make it good. At least it'll provide it. Oh, wait a second. Nexus crystal. Oh yeah, I forgot you removed Nexus crystal from the game. Okay, enchanted ramp. Alright, that poor thing. Copy. Paste. It's probably the worst epic item in the game. More this enchanted bramble thing. Anyway, next up. Theldred will have a 1% chance to drop Cord's shield. Which is a shield wielded by the shaman in the Blackrock Depths Dungeon 1 arena box. Formerly Dungeon 2, the quest chain to drop Dungeon. The quest chain rewards you of Dungeon 1 and no longer requires Dungeon 1 to complete now. Because the endgame reward system has no room for Dungeon 2 stuff. Anyway, next up. Yeah, no. Theldred will have 1% chance to drop Core Shield, which is an ILS 63 character level 58 caster shield that's epic and is neither offensive nor defensive in its general purpose. Sophos and Jared will have 1% chance to drop Sophos Shield, which is an ILO 63 character level 58 epic warrior shield that, for general purposes, is neither offensive nor defensively itemized. It's both. Baron Rivendare will have a 1% chance to drop Ysida's Wand. Ysida Harmon is the one that you have to save for the 45-minute strat quest. Yes, Ysida's Wand, which is an epic ILO 63 character level 58 hyper offensive healing wand. Hyper offensive meaning good for keeping your mana up while you're healing. For healing people, anyway. It's good for healing people, but not for stuff that healers would consider to be more defensive than offensive. It's not easy to explain. I'll get to it later. Isalian, the quest boss in Dire Maul East that you have to summon, will have a 1% chance to drop an outer level 63, character level 58, general purpose epic healing ring. General purpose meaning neither offensive nor defensive. Balthalak will have a 1% chance to drop a pair of I level 63, character level 58, epic hunter shoulders. Rock Doom, however, will have a 1% chance to drop an I level 63, character level 58, general purpose epic caster pants, which he got from Mirage, whose mojo he stole and he had to get back for a quest that you don't have to do. Core Master Zygris, yes, putting this on Uruk Doomhow will encourage people to actually kill that guy and not skip him. Quartermaster Zygris will have a 1% chance to drop IL 63, character level 58, general purpose epic hunter gloves. The new Firebrand Mage boss will have a 1% chance to drop IL 63, character level 58, and IL 63, character level 58, hyper offensive caster wand. Copy. Paste. This new Firebrand Mage boss is in the middle of the Firebrand Orcs in Lord Blackrock Spire. And it serves to cause people to actually kill those trash mobs and not skip them. Most of the time, anyway. Next up, the Dire Maul Tribute Chest will have a 1% chance, should 10 players have killed King Gordok and spared all other bosses in Dire Maul North, to contain an IL 63 character level 58 fast bow that is associated with each gender dollar. Oh, I forgot the bow is fast, not slow. The Purifier for the Argent Dawn, that's slow. Okay, hold on here. Tributes. With no chance of obtaining the epic bow. Copy the tribute chest. Case. I actually found an inconsistency, and now I got rid of the inconsistency. Okay, back down to where he was. Now to put it in the change log. Made the epic bow from the DM tribute chest Never drop from the chest if less than 10 players had the king buff. Okay, so next up. Yes, the fast bow is from the Stranger Lore. Because ogres don't use bows other than toothpick shooter. At least they don't use really good bows. Anyway, next up. Cho Rush the Observer. Will have a 1% chance to drop an out level 63, character level 58 hybrid damage cloak. Prince Sorteldrin will have a 1% chance to drop an out level 63, character level 58 epic healing mace. Which is hyper offensive. Epic hyper offensive healing mace. And Owls in the Wild Chamber will have a 1% chance to drop an out level 63, character level 58 epic fast. Epic hyper offensive. Fast one hit melee base. By the way, Darmal East was turned into a 10-man raid. Level 58 to 60. Copy. And the inner Blackrock Depths was turned into a 10-man raid, while the outer Blackrock Depths is still a low 50s dungeon. 5-man dungeon. Yorubashi Axtors from Zul'Gurub will have a chance far higher than their chances to drop other Zul'Gurub exclusive trap drops to drop epic throwing axes that grant ability or range attack power when they are equipped. When equipped. This is to give throwing weapons some sort of level. Now you can only use so much with throwing weapons due to their inherent mechanics, without making throwing weapons somehow never run out of ammo. And that'd just be a pretty dumb change. Anyway, where is it? Here it is. Ace. Various bind unequipped epic. Various bind unequipped blue world drop fist weapons will be added to the game because non-existent fist weapons can stand to be fleshed out. Can stand to be more fleshed out. Various gray fist weapons will be added to the game since non-existent fist weapons can stand to be more fleshed out. Various world drop green pole arms and fist weapons will be added to the game that have a random suffix since fist weapons and pole arms can stand to be more fleshed out. Various world drop gray, white, and green world drop throwing weapons and a few blue ones will be added to the game. None of these will have a random suffix, and the blue ones that are level 25 and higher will have the same amount of range attack power on them. Wait, of marksmanship. They'll all be of marks. The green ones will all be of marksmanship. And the blue ones survival 25 and higher will have some amount of range attack power on them. For the same reason that it made throwing axes and Zul'Gurub trash weapons with range attack power on them. Do also be sure that, like how white world drops get slowly replaced by green ones starting at level 10, or is it 11? And finish getting replaced by them at level 16, throwing weapons are treated the same way. Replace 2 with Isle. Range attack power and slash or elemental damage and slash or a proc on them. There are 3 and only 3 stats that work on throwing weapons. Range attack power, procs, and elemental damage on hit. Ice Blade Hacker and Cold Iron Pick. Because you don't want throwing weapons to be stat sticks, seeing as how throwing weapons just get deleted when you after you throw the last one. And you can't repair them. You don't want stat sticks to have a limited duration. Or otherwise never get used. Various... hold on. Enable blue world drop throwing weapons to have elemental damage and plus or procs on them. Enabled green. Made all green world drop throwing weapons all be of marksmanship, which is the range attack crossbows. Various world drop gray, white, and green world drop crossbows will be added to the game. The green ones that are added will have a random suffix. Do also be sure that, like how white world drops slowly get replaced by green ones starting at level 10 or 11, and finish getting replaced by them at level 16, crossbows are treated the same way. A bond and equip epic world drop crossbow, epic polearm, and epic fist weapon will be added to the game, all between level 50 to 40 to 57 and character level 35 to 52. Copy. Paste. Players with the Collector's Edition will start with a buy-on pickup one slot bag in addition to the Collector's Edition pet. The bag can be vended for several copper exits to account for the bag space taken up by the Collector's Edition pet. They pick. A new character level 42 green idol will be added to the game that, say, increases the duration of hibernate by 10 seconds. I haven't actually calculated how long it would last yet. It has a 1% chance to drop from Grim Tone of Naturalist and Feralis is BOE. Hold on. That is not. That's not supposed to be there. Okay. It drops from Grim Tone of Naturalist and Feralis and it's beyond unequipped. A new character level equals 40 green Libra will be added to the game that increases the armor bonus granted by devotion aura by less than 55. It drops from Revelation Ultimate in its final pickup. Again, I have not actually done a implementation for that yet. It's just a suggestion. It's at least a guideline for me. A new character level 43 green totem will be added to the game that, say, reduces the mana cost of Purge by 10%. It has a 1% chance to drop from Moshog Shannon's and Dragonthorn Veil and it's fine on equip. With these three relics added to the game, which are all useful in solo people. Hold on. 45. Made the Libra from Revelage be high level against 45. Because I am making all dungeons have not gigantic level ranges of Fandom. Not making the first parts of the dungeon be way the fuck lower level than the ends of the dungeon. Instead, they're going to be, there's still going to be a progression, but it's not going to be anywhere near as big as it was in old. That's going to apply to all dungeons and raids. Anyway. Well, to all dungeons and all raids, it's going to be, whatever. Yeah, raids are all going to be the same. Anyway. Yes, with these three relics added to the game, which are all useful in solo PvE, group PvE, and PvP, relic options will exist in the first place before level 50 or so, making the game feel a little more fleshed out. On level 63, epic bullets and arrows will be added to the Timber Ball and hold its exalted reputation rewards. They have a base cost of 2 gold per second and 23 damage per second. Yes, they actually mapped that out. On level 65, epic bullets and arrows will be added to the Zandalar tribe as exalted reputation rewards. They have a base. Well, I did not map out the cost, but yeah, I mapped out the damage. The Zandalar tribe ammunition has a base cost of 2 gold, 50 silver per stack, and adds 24 damage per second. Obviously, stacks of 200 for both. 200%. Anyway, all blue rewards that were formerly from Insignia of the Dawn/Crusade tournaments will be moved to Argent Dawn Revered Reputation rewards, while the epic ones will become Argent Dawn Exalted Reputation rewards. So now the Purifier is going to be an Exalted Reputation reward from the Argent Dawn, for example, instead of being gotten from Insignia of the Dawn/Crusade. And Supply Bag will be a Revered Reputation reward instead of being gotten from the Insignia of the Dawn/Crusade. All 40-man raid loot, including that from Zolgrub and AQ20, will be revamped so that it's all item level 65, and there's enough objects to provide at least 2 objects for every equipment slot for every spec of every class. To this extent, very many pieces of loot may or may not be added to the game, and some or all shared loot may cease to be shared. So that I can add even more loot to the game. So that I can add even more loot to the game. To accomplish this. That's not better. Copy. Paste. Most ILO 63 Blue and Epic items will be revamped so that there's enough options. So that there's enough options to provide at least 2 options to every equipment slot for every spec of every spec. To this extent, to accomplish this, very many pieces of loot may or may not be added to the game. Copy. The Dungeon 2 sets will be removed from the game, and the sources of the Dungeon 1 items will be moved from their respective dungeons to the respective parts of the Dungeon 2 quest line, which will no longer require the Dungeon 1 items to complete. Copy. Paste. Ice Guard and Shadow Guard will have a character level requirement of 50 plus and won't work on items that are level of 54 or lower, and it will be purchasable at the Archidon Revered instead of coming from a quest. A new enchant will be sold by the Archidon Revered called Nature Guard, which enchants a helm with plus 10 nature resistance and has a base cost of 30 gold. Ice Guard, Shadow Guard, and all Librams, that is the enchants, not the paladin stuff that you quit, now only works on your helm. The Timberbuff Furbolgs will now offer lead enchants. They'll offer 100 enchants that grant 1% crit, hit, spell hit, or 2 B5, and they'll offer exalted enchants that grant 2% crit, hit, spell hit, 4 B5, or 3% melee, such strange haste. All these enchants require level 50 plus to use, and will not work on items. Now, items with level 54 or lower. Replace will not with won't. The next Raven shoulder enchants are removed from the game. The Zolgarub head and leg shoulder enchants. The Zolgarub head, leg, and shoulder enchants are removed from the game as are primal Algari items. Zonda the Restless Altar will instead be relocated near the entrance to the raid, and its dialogue will tell you that, should you simply /say a certain phrase on Zolgarub, Zaza will grant you a blessing. This blessing is very powerful and casts a type A world buff and lasts for 2 hours, but will wear off early if you leave Zolgarub. Receiving this blessing will grant you a hidden red debuff for 1 second and prevent you from blessing you again in order to prevent people from trying to use it to crash the server. The raid shall be tuned around everyone constantly having that world buff, which will grant all players 200 attack power, 100 stamina, 125 spell damage, and 220 healing. Wait a second. Says it right there, and scroll down to world here. It's yeah, okay, it does look 100 stam. Okay, good. In order to make it harder to get exalted into the Sandlar tribe and make it easier on master looters, Zolgrub coins and bijous, as well as Sandlar honor tokens, will be removed from the game. You'll have to actually do Zolgarub if you want to get Sandlar tribe reputation. Essence mangoes will now be purchased with gold instead of the Sandlar honor token, seeing as how those no longer exist. Zaza's potions will cost a blood vine, a primal tiger letter, or a soldierite. 4 separate repeatable turning quests will exist for each potion. No, not for each potion. 4 separate repeatable turning quests will exist, which grant you a choice of one of the 3 potions. The Cenarion Circle now offers Shoulder Enchantment on to get 14 attack power, 9 spell damage, or 16 healing, and costs 10 gold before discounts. And other Shoulder Enchantment Exalted that offer 30 attack power, 19 spell damage, or 33 healing, and costs 40 gold before discounts. These all have a character level requirement of 50 plus, and won't work on items on character of item level 54 or lower. Copy. The Argent Dawn Shoulder Enchantment now offer 40% more resistance than before, so plus 7 instead of plus 5. And they have a character level requirement of 50 plus, and won't work on item and they will not work on item levels, and they won't work on items of item level 54 or lower. Copy. Paste. All class-giving spellbooks will only drop from select mobs, so no longer from Anchorage, and Celestial will be otherwise changed as follows. This is because I don't want you to have to do 40-man raids before you can get the best spell rates. In order to decrease the power gap between people who do 40-man raids and people who don't do that, or, and also don't do PvP. This will also make it be easier to balance 40-man raids such that they stay hard after you get your best in slot forever gear for 40-man raids. Anyway, so Serpent Sting 9 will drop from Ileana Ravenoak of Diremal North. Diremal West. Guide Multi-Shot 5 will drop from Blood Axe Raiders in Lower Blackhawk Spire. Guide Aspect of the Hawk 7 will drop from Scarshield Raiders in Lower Blackhawk Spire. Tome Tranquilizing Shot will be renamed to Guide Tranquilizing Shot, and it will drop from Houndmaster Grebnar in the Outer Blackrock Depths and be learnable at level 50. Tome of Arc, you shouldn't even have to do 10 or 20 main raids to get this this ability that you can't just get a lower rank of. It's the only rank of that ability. Anyway, Tome of Arcane Missiles 8 will drop from Dark Master Gangly. Tome of Fireball 12 will drop from Churoshi Observer Mage. Tome of Frostball 11 will drop from Maleki the Paladin of Strat Dead. Manual Battle Shout 7 will drop from Brand Blackhand of Upper Blackrock Spire. Manual Revenge 6 will drop from some mob in Deathfall. I haven't figured that out yet. Manual Heroic Strike 9 will drop from some mob in the ruins of Pandora Hall. I haven't figured that out. I haven't really defined those raids yet beyond them being 10-man raids and which reputation they give. And the job Surgeon is beginning part of the long thing on. Manual of Eviscerate 9 will be renamed to Handbook of Eviscerate 9 and still drop from Blackhand Assassins in Upper Blackrock Spire, whatever they're called. Handbook of Backstab 9 will drop from Wildthorn Shadowstalkers in Diremal East. Remember, it's a 10-man raid now. Handbook of Deadly Poison 5 will drop from Wildspawn Rogues in Diremal East. Wait, are they called Wildthorn Shadowstalkers? Wildthorn Shadowstalker. Wild Spawn. Okay, it's called Wild Spawn. I better fix that. Wild Spawn, not Wildthorn. Okay. And Handbook of Fate 5 will drop from some NPC in Deathhole. Codex of Greater Heal 10 will drop from Churoshi Observer, Priest. Codex of Renew 10. Yeah, that was Greater Heal 10. Codex of Renew 10 will drop from Instructor Militia and Scalamans. And Codex of Prayer of Healing 5 will drop from Princess Moria Bronzebeard. Grimoire of Inferno and Grimoire of Doom will be removed from the game. As such, Warlocks will have to actually do their class quests in order to learn those spells. Grimoire of Corruption 7 will drop from some mob in the ruins of Endor Hall. Grimoire of Immolate 7 will drop from Molten War Golems in Blackrock Depths, Inner Blackrock Depths. Grimoire of Shadow Ward 6 will drop from Blackguard Sentries, which are the trash mobs right after the Mindless Undead and Strat Dead, right before Baron Riven there. Yes, these guys also now know how to cast the spell. Shadow Ward 6. Tablet of Flame Shot 6 Tableau Flame Shock 6 will also drop for new lines if it hadn't before, subject to thrown in the neutral auction house. Tableau of Grace of Air Totem 3 will drop from Tryhards the Observer, Shaman, and it'll drop for both the Alliance and the Horde. Tableau of Healing Wave 10 will drop from Corv, and it'll drop for both the Alliance and the Horde. Corv is the Shaman in the Dungeon Dungeon 2 quest chain, not Dungeon 1, for the Blackrock Depths Arena. Yeah, that's where the guy comes from. And then Tableau Strength of Earth Totem 5 will drop from Spire Sun Mystics and Lord Blackrock Spire, though they won't fire cast it, and it'll drop for both the Alliance and the Horde. Libram of Blessing of Might 7 will drop from Crimson Galleons in Strat Live, and it'll drop for both the Alliance and the Horde. Libram of Blessing of Wisdom 6 will drop from Madlord Zealous in Strat Live, and it'll drop for both the Alliance and the Horde. And then Libram of Holy Light 9 will drop from Crimson Defenders in Strat Live, and it'll drop for both the Alliance and the Horde. Book of Starfire 7 will drop from More Greyhoof and Lord Blackrock Depths, the Dungeon 1 boss. Book of Healing Touch 11 will drop from Salient, the Dungeon 1 boss in Dire Maul East. And then Book of Rejuvenation 11 will drop from Eldritch Darters in Dire Maul West, who now know how to cast a spell. The quest for level 55 Mage Water will be removed from the game, and Archivist Galfighter will no longer drop Tome of Conjured Food 7, removing it from the game. As part of making level 45 Food and Water and Essence Mangoes actually be worth something. By the way, there's also a change made to mages. Mage Water and Mage Food will all grant 5% less health and mana over time than before. Or is 10%, I don't remember which. 5 or 10%, I'd have to scroll on it. You know, I'm just going to scroll on right now. But all Mage Conjured Food and Water, 5% less health and mana. Okay, yeah. That way, regular food and water will actually be worth something. Food and water that ain't conjured. I might lower it to it. I might increase the penalty to 10%, up from 5%. Consider increasing the mage food / water penalty from 5% to 10%. The following legendary items will be added to the game by mostly undetermined means. A 2.1 speed one-handed melee mace that has plus 87 attack power on it is a free stat among other stats that aren't free, so that Pharaoh Druids can kind of benefit from the increased base weapon damage from its effectively increased item level compared to epic weapons. Because of its being 2.1 speed or so, it is also useful for subtlety rogues who desire a weapon of middling speed. However, I forget if it's exactly 2.1 speed they want or not. It might be a slightly different weapon speed. I'd have to recalculate that. Anyway. And that's because of some changes that I made to subtlety rogues. Anyway, there will also be a legendary 1.8 speed gun added to the game, which has extra base damage per second to compensate for its ammo being eyeball of 65 epic at best instead of eyeball of 65 legendary at best. There will also be a legendary 3.3 speed bow, which has extra base damage per second on it to compensate for its extra base weapon damage on it to compensate for its ammo being eyeball of 65 epic at best instead of eyeball of 65 legendary at best. Rock Delar will be upgraded into a legendary item. Rock Delar will be upgraded into a legendary item, and it will require having to kill a 5th and far more dangerous demon, also by yourself, to obtain. Its weapon damage will be increased to compensate for its ammo merely being eye level equals 65 epic at best instead of eye level 65 legendary at best. Copy. Scroll back up to the iron section. Paste. A legendary 3.2 speed melee set for hunters, Loc de Lore, which is no longer a mere epic weapon, and involves having to do new and different quests from the ancients to obtain, one of which involves obtaining something very rare from 40-man raid, and another of which involves fighting an extremely dangerous solo-only boss. There will also be a legendary 2.7 speed one-hand caster base with a healing version, both versions of which have a bit of free melee stats on them to make sure that tank enhancement chance and prop balance is considered to be best in slot forever to 2.7 speed so that Wind Fury and Frostbite are more fun. There will also be a legendary 2.2 speed two-hand melee mace stats in the game. It'll have a bit of free caster stats on it to make sure that paladins and shamans, which is who they're intended for, like it. There will also be a legendary 1.9 speed melee dagger, a legendary 1.3 speed melee dagger, and a legendary 1.7 speed one-hand melee sword. The regular Kelsarar is removed from the game and replaced with... Oh, right, I forgot I made it 3.0 speed. And wait a second. I'm going to look at this slightly outdated document first that contains all the itemization I've done so far. Dawn of Fury, Dawn of Fury, Dawn of Fury, Dawn of Fury, Dawn of Fury. This is fast. This is slow. Okay, okay. By the way, this is outdated. This thing is outdated, but it still contains what I want the weapon speed to be. Yeah, so 3.0 speed one-hand melee sword. Yes, there will also be a legendary 3.0 speed one-hand melee sword added to the game. The regular Kelsarar is removed from the game and is replaced with the corrupted Black Blade of Kelsarar, which is more compatible with the existing lore of the pre-existing lore 2005 lore, and involves Nefarion instead of Onyxia, as well as fighting an extremely dangerous solo-only boss and obtaining a very rare item for a 40-man raid. All these legendary items will involve having to fight an extremely dangerous solo-only boss and having to get something very rare from a 40-man raid. Thunder Fury will be a 1.5 speed one. A teach will be re-itemized for each class. Oh, wait. Turn the corrupted Black Blade of Kelsarar into a 3.0 speed weapon. Remember to turn. Okay. A teach will be re-itemized for each class that can use it. Has its own version for it, or whatever. Included in said re-itemization will be a druid version no longer having to bonus the feral attack power on it, and a healing priest version no longer having to bonus the spell damage on it. When wielding the druid or priest version of teach, or either version of the caster/healing one-hand mace, Saint in particular of the legendary caster one-hand healing caster/healing one-hand mace. When doing that, Saint in particular an indeterminate line of text, currently indeterminate, via/say will cause the item to, on a 1-day cooldown, transform into a caster version of the item, or from the caster version back into the healing version on the same cooldown of the item. On the same cooldown, yeah. Copy. Each legendary weapon will involve a quest that involves fighting a boss in the Vanity Quest, stating the ancients, except the bosses are vastly more difficult to defeat, such that a low latency and a tremendous amount of skill, which can't be replaced by gear or consumables, is required to defeat them. The details for each boss can be found at link. And here are the boss fights. Okay, so all bosses have these mechanics. All bosses, upon being engaged, will use an instant spell-like ability on you, which can be cast off silence. That'll dispel all of your dispellable buffs and debuffs, whether they be magic, curses, diseases, or poisons. Number 2, the boss quest item will be given to the person who kills the boss by spawning it directly into the bags of whoever killed the boss, should the boss have been killed properly. Properly, as in the way you're supposed to kill the bosses for the quest, Save the Ancients. Intended to by the developers, barring oversights, which obviously were accidental. No, oversights are not intentional. That's why they're called oversights. Number 3, if anyone interferes, the boss will simply despawn and instantly. If the interference scores a killing blow before the boss has a chance to despawn, then the boss quest item will simply not be spawned into the inventory of anybody at all, nor will it be on the course of the boss. Number 4, the boss is designed to be fought in at least pre-raid best in slot gear, all epics included, in at least pre-raid best in slot gear. Epic weapon included, and you're intended to have to use consumables that aren't profession cooldowns. Number 5, beating hold on. Reduce the gear requirements for the legendary weapon boss fights to pre-raid bits. Not epics excluded. Epics other than weapons excluded. Okay, that's better. Number 5. Beating combat while using or equipping the following items or having them active ahead of time will cause the boss to despawn as if the boss fight hadn't been interfered with. See the disqualifying item list below for more information. The disqualifying item list is as follows: Limited Invulnerability Potion, Lesser Invisibility Potion, Dragon's Call, Vera Peasant Collar, if you use it, Dog Whistle, if you use it, Mechanical Breach, Mechanical Yeti, Glowing Cat Figurine, if used, Cinder Bracers, Spike Collar, if used. Do note that Spike Collar, Glowing Cat Figurine, and Dog Whistle are trinkets now. Yeah, so those things, if used. And the Defender of the Timberlaw, if used. Ancient Cornerstone Grimoire, if used. Oh! I forgot. Remember to itemize the summons from Book of the Dead and Ancient Cornerstone Grimoire. I forgot to do that. I'll look at that later. Yes, Defender of the Timberlaw, if you use Ancient Cornerstone Grimoire, if you use Book of the Dead, if you use and Thornlean Seed. Aren't there other ones? Go back and make sure that I added all temporary summons to the disqualifying item list for legendary weapon boss fights. Furthermore, you'll also be disqualified by using limited time per character or year items, such as Glowing Wax Stick, Bag of Marbles, Really Sticky Glue, Light of Eloon, Moist Towelette, Blood Cup Elixir of Resistance, Blood Cup Elixir of Dodging, Tea of Sugar, Mechanical Yeti, I already listed that one. And 73 Fragonade, I'll let it be listed there twice. Holy Might Stone, Call the Raptor, Goblin Fishing Pole, Restoring Bomb, Fish Liver Oil, Flash Bundle, Storm Stout. Oh, that's right, you removed Storm Stout from the game. Keg of Thunder Brew. I also removed Trogale from the game. Faintly Glowing Skull, Slumber Sand, and consumable holiday items with limited duration, such as solids and pumpkin treats and winter sale presents. Furthermore, each box will have its own list of other disqualifying items. Additional disqualifying items is below for each boss. The Rope de Lar fight. These will be the boss mechanics. The boss has an instant cast 35-yard range ability with no cooldown on fires a projectile at a random enemy, should any be within range, that deals 10,000 physical damage, which will obviously kill you instantly. The boss often uses this spell with 0.5 second cast time and places a lethal 3-yard radius obstacle somewhere within a narrow 50-yard radius cone in front of it. So you'll have to keep an eye out for that while you're kiting the shit out of that guy at all times. Number 3, this boss sometimes spawns an ad. Hold on, I want some water. Number 3, this boss sometimes spawns an ad that's as fast as it's an epic mount and hits softer than the typical non-elite mob and has enough health that you won't be able to kill it before it reaches you. Said mob bleeds a lot whenever claws used on it, and its bleed can stack indefinitely. So you'll want to use your pet to attack that mob before it reaches you, and have your pet constantly follow you and not get hit by the 10k physical damage. So your pet will have to kill that guy on the run. The said ad has an aura that causes it and all of its allies within a 50-yard radius to deal an extra 40 melee damage per attack, stack indefinitely. So your pet is going to have to actually kill that ad instead of just kiting it for the whole fight. Otherwise, those ads are going to hit harder and harder and harder, and your pet is going to fucking die, and then you're going to fucking die. Number 5. The boss will sometimes enrage, increasing its movement speed by 50% and drastically increases its melee damage and attack speed. So you better watch the fuck out for that enrage and trank it when it does. And make sure you have room to trank it before it reaches you when it enrages. I might actually nerf that to 40% movement speed, but I don't know yet. Maybe 45. The boss will sometimes use the channel ability that puts all of its enemies within a 100-yard radius, that pulls all its enemies within a 100-yard radius towards it at 100% of normal movement speed. You and your pet can run away while this happens. The strategy. I already said the strategy. The legendary gunfight. Of course, the legendary bow fight is only for hunters, and the legendary gunfight is also only for hunters. The boss starts out as a neutral mob. The boss has no melee attack, but is immune to all non-holy damage and will constantly move towards whoever has aggro with plus 400% movement speed. No, you're not supposed to deal holy damage. The boss has an AoE cone attack with 4 ranks chosen from at random, and all of them are lethal and have a 15-yard radius, and the boss makes a distinct noise when he begins to cast it. Rank 1 of the cone attack has a narrow radius and a cast time of 1.5 seconds. Rank 2 of the cone attack has a somewhat narrow radius and has a cast time of 2 seconds. Rank 3 is a radius of cone of cold with a cast time of 2.5 seconds. And rank 4 is kind of wide and has a cast time of 3 seconds. So you gotta move as if you cast in rank 4 every time. And you gotta react fast every time, because you don't know how long the cast is gonna be. Number 4, the boss constantly has a lethal 15-yard radius hurricane surrounding it that prevents all ranged attacks from going through it. And it has an eye, so a safe spot, that has an 8-yard radius. Of course, the eye is around the boss. Staying in the eye will cause the hurricane to do nothing to you, aside from not letting your ranged attacks go through it. Number 5. The hurricane will be constantly orbited by several lethal thundering clouds that have a 3-yard radius. These thunderstorms extend out to 30 yards, and a few of them have an irregular orbit. The boss will sometimes spawn a stationary ad that's immune to nature damage 18 to 30 yards away from him, which will spam lightning bolt on whoever has aggro. When the ad dies, the boss will lose health equal to 3% of its maximum health. You'll be expected to use Men Pet through the hurricane and use Eyes of the Beast a lot. You'll also be expected to be specialized in Beast Mastery and have a great stamina 10 and Nature Resistance 5. That's the new regular Nature Resistance on your pet. Nature Resistance 5 grants you 15 Nature Resistance. Additional disqualifying effects include Lesser Blink, which you get from putting Wizard Oil on your Wander Relic, except, oh wait, I don't have that here. Because I forgot that hunters cannot get Lesser Blink because they cannot equip wands or relics. Okay, so before the strategy, before the fight, you may wish to place an explosive trap 20 to 30 yards away from the boss in case an ad spawns on top of it. The hunters will start and stay near the boss, while the pet starts and stays 16 or more yards away from the boss to avoid the hurricane. Watch out for the boss AoE cone attacks and run around the boss until the boss casts a cone attack, in case it has a maximum radius. Don't touch the hurricane. Use Eyes of the Beast to navigate your pet to the ads without the pet touching the thunderstorms. Kill the ads of your pet and keep your pet alive with Mend Pet. Your pet will have to get close to the hurricane to get healed. Your pet should probably have Diver Dash, Great Stamina 10, Nature Resistance 5, and Claw. If pet Crocodilus risks staggering the boss Big Bites. I forgot. Big Bite doesn't have self heal anymore. That part's outdated. Or it can be a Crocodilus. So yes, your pet. Well, you'll have to balance. You'll have to spontaneously. You're gonna have to cancel Eyes of the Beast whenever you hear that audio cue for the boss doing that lethal AoE cone attack. I'm going to change that 15-yard radius to a 10-yard radius to make sure it doesn't clip out of the hurricane. That doesn't really have to be changed. Actually, I'm going to put it in there anyway. For the legendary gun boss fight, reduce the range of its AoE cone attacks to 10 yards. Seeing as how more range is redundant. Accomplishes nothing for them and can perhaps clip out of the hurricane. Could perhaps clip out of the hurricane, which could be unintentional. Okay, the fast stagger fight, which is for warriors and rogues. The boss will hit like a non-elite and have a ton of hit points and is immune to all crowd control except for interrupts. The boss is fought deep underwater, inside of the ocean floor, and a ways from it. The boss will randomly cast a lethal spell on you for 1 second cast time, but never more than once per 13 seconds. Obviously, you can interrupt it. The boss will randomly do an emo and then cast an insta-cast spell after 1 second. Taunt or gouge the boss after the emo and before the spell cast to interrupt it. Around, near, and sometimes at the boss will be many slowly moving environmental hazards. Not just horizontally around the boss, but in a 360-degree spherical radius around the boss. Touching one will spell death and not for the boss. Will spell your death. Going too far away from where you started the fight will cause the boss to despawn as if someone had interfered with the boss fight. The boss has plus 400% movement speed, so don't try swimming away from it. So don't try kiting that guy. And wearing Iron Knuckles will make the boss despawn as if the fight was interfered with. So the strategy. Use an elixir of water breathing or a greater water breathing before engaging the boss, or use a band of the Ice Depth or Deep Ice Helmet. Interrupt the boss when he casts his lethal spell. Taunt or gouge the boss with the emotes, and don't touch the environmental hazards, and don't go too far away from the box's spawn point. The slow dagger fight. I haven't really figured that fight out yet, but it's going to involve pickpocketing, lockpicking, and stunlocking. The sub/feral when in melee-based fight. I haven't really figured this out either, but it's going to be a stealth quest like in itself game. No pickpocketing, lockpicking, or stunlocking, but it's just going to be stealth. Don't get from point A to point B without aggravating anything, unless it can kill it by itself before it has a chance to yell for help or something. The fast one-handed sword fights for warriors and rogues. This is going to be for Thunder Fury. Wait. Slow-ended sword. Slow-ended sword. Wait, no. Yeah, this is going to be a slow-ended sword. And it's going to be Thunder Fury after all. Thunder Fury. Okay, okay. So the slow-ended sword fight. Considering that this is actually going to take place in Blackwing Lair, this is not a good idea to make it involve ice and stuff like that. Or maybe it is actually. Maybe it is. Maybe I got some kind of frost specializing alchemist expert in there. Hmm. Yeah, okay, sure. No, actually, Well, I'm just going to read out the boss anyway, and then I'll think about changing them. So, the boss mechanics. The boss hits like a... Not... Yes, this is a fight for the corrupted black-bladed Kelsar. The boss is like a non-elite, but has a ton of hit points. The boss is immune to all crowd control, including interrupts, except he becomes vulnerable to interrupts for a short time in certain situations. When the boss hits you, he inflicts you with a 20-second red debuff that reduces your frost resistance by 400, so don't bother wearing frost resistance gear. The boss will randomly cast an instant spell that creates a large circle of lethal icy mist that has a small shrinking hole in the center that you're teleported into by the boss, and a tiny hole is a decided shrinking hole that you're expected to jump to in order to prevent yourself from dying. You'll have about a second to make the jump before you die. Any size of the holes in the position of the tiny hole will be adjusted differently for gnomes and male tauren. For gnomes, ogres, and male tauren. And while this mist is around, the boss won't do anything, and landing in the tiny hole in the mist will make the boss get rid of all the mist. Number 5. The boss will randomly cast an instant cast spell that creates a 3-yard radius cylinder of ice around you with a small vertical opening on the random side of it. After 3 seconds have passed, all the boss enemies in the cylinder will take a lethal amount of frost damage. The boss, when in melee range, will randomly cast a spell with a 1.5 second cast time that can only be interrupted during the last 0.3 seconds. So you gotta time it really good and have good ping. Well, or just time it really good while accounting for your ping. You can just do it preemptively and rely on the ping to delay it for you. Anyway. The boss, when in melee range... I already said that. The ice can be replaced with fire or nature or something else if need be. Okay. Number 7. This boss has additional disqualifying items and effects as follows. Iron Knuckles, Nagafogger Lecture, Savory DB Delight, All Hollow Wands, Dark Souls Roger Transformation, PX238 Winter Wonderbolt, and, not Lesser Blank, because Warriors and Rogues can't get that, Deviant Scale Belt Reinforcements. Added Deviant Scale Belt Reinforcements as a disqualifying item for the corrupted solo boss fight for the corrupted Black Blade of Kelsar. So basically, this is a strategy. Move quickly and accurately through the maze of icy mist when you're teleported into it. Wait a second. This is outdated. This strategy here is outdated. This isn't even made. Jump quickly and accurately to the hole in the icy mist when the boss makes a big circle, big shrinking circle of icy mist around you. When the boss casts its version of Shadow Fissure, exit the fissure quickly and from the right side of it. When the boss casts its lethal spell, interrupt it at the right time. It's all about precision of input and reaction time. The three things that truly test your skill are reaction time, precision of input, and what was the other one? Situational awareness. Those are the three things that really actually test your skill and cannot be compensated for with gear or something like that. Although it's also tests your internet connection. It shouldn't really be a problem by the time this game gets to come out, if it ever does get to come out. I don't really have anything arranged for the game coming out, it's just a pipe dream, really. Anyway, the Atish fight. Classes, Druid, Mage, Priest, Warlock. So, there's 4 bosses with the exact same name and a ton of hit points and a lot of friendly NPCs split evenly into their melee arrangements. The enemies are arranged, the bosses are arranged into a square that, if its corners had a circle around it, these circle would have a 25-yard radius, and the friendly NPCs all generate a ton of aggro and can be healed. The NPCs will need help if either dealing damage to the bosses or staying alive, that is being healed, in order to win, and that's before considering the below boss mechanics. The bosses are a means of crowd control aside from interrupts. Any boss will often cast an instant cast spell on a random enemy that dispels all heal over time effects and makes heals hurt instead of heal for 10 seconds. So I don't have to worry about Huts healing. So I don't have to worry about Huts hurting people unless you hut them after the debuff. And you should be able to dispel the debuff if you're a priest. Or warlock. Fell hunter, but why did you do that? Or maybe I make it a curse, I don't know yet. Or maybe I just think it done a spell. Well, anyway. Any boss will sometimes cast a spell with a 0.5-second cast time on himself that causes all spells, including this spell, against him within the next 15 seconds to be reflected, dealing an additional 400% damage if applicable. Dots that were on the boss beforehand won't hurt the caster during the spell reflection. Any boss will sometimes cast Flame Strike or something, 2.5-second cast time, which will deal a ton of damage. The player is expected to interrupt it, and across the 4 bosses, this will never be casted more than once every 30 seconds. Every boss will be interrupted by the initial casting of Curse and Agony, Moonfire, and Shadow Word Pain. So those spells are now interrupts against those bosses. In particular, and special boss mechanics. Any boss will sometimes channel a spell that creates a link to another boss and cause that boss to cast it on another boss until all 4 are linked. Each link is a 4-second cast time and creates a visual like Drain Soul or something. If all 4 are linked, the boss will kill everyone and it can only be interrupted by the usage of a quest item on an unlinked boss at any time, and said quest item has a 10-item cooldown. 10-second cooldown. I'm going to lower that to a 3-second cast time. Make the bosses for the Atish solo a Tish fight's lengths have a 3-second cast time. Every boss has a 40-yard radius aura that scares all beasts until they leave the radius of all the auras. If any so that includes polymorph druids. If any boss dies while any boss is alive, the dead boss will be resurrected after 10 seconds, so you have to kill all. So you have to make all of them die at the same time. The NPCs will deal a predictable amount of damage, by the way. Any boss will sometimes spawn and add a flow of health that casts rate of fire on some friendly NPCs. It doesn't hit very hard, but it'll add up if you don't kill it, and the friendly NPCs won't attack it. Because they're busy attacking the bosses. Any boss will sometimes cast something comparable to kill Suzon's Shadow Pitcher on you, and only you, except you need to step out of it in 1.5 seconds, instead of, 3 seconds? Every boss can and will dispel curses on each other, and quickly. So you don't get to cast cursed tongues on them. These bosses, this encounter, has additional disqualifying items and effects as follows: Iron Knuckles and Scarab Brooch, unless I change it. To make it stop being an issue. I actually forget why Scarab Brooch would be an issue, but it would be. The strategy. Hold on, I should go over to strategy for, Okay, good. That's good work. So yes, the strategy. If the bosses are healed on player character fighting the bosses, or both. When a boss casts a spell that makes heals hurt on your target, stop healing that guy. When a boss casts Spell Reflection, stop hitting that boss. When a boss casts Flame Strike, interrupt it. When the bosses link to each other, use the quest item on any unlinked boss. If you're a druid, don't shapeshift and stay in your normal form. All 4 bosses must die within less than 10 seconds of each other. Kill the ads. Stay out of the shadow figures, and don't bother cursing the bosses except to interrupt flame strikes. So, the lower fights. A hunter boss, obviously. The boss mechanics are: the boss has a ton of health and is immune to all crowd control and nature spells. The boss has an aura that horrifies all beasts within a 40-yard radius until a beast is out of range, such as your hunter pets. Hunter pet. The boss is fought upon small, unmoving platforms in a new room in Naxxramas construct quarter over a vat of green slime that kills you upon contact. So don't fall in. Said boss is fought upon small, unmoving platforms in the new room in Naxxramas construct quarter over a vat of green slime that kills you upon contact. Oh, you already said that. Said unmoving platforms are actually quite far apart and can be accessed via moving platforms in the same room, which move quickly and predictably. Yes, you'll have to do platforming. You will have to traverse at least 3 moving platforms to access each unmoving platform. Every 30 seconds, the boss will teleport from one unmoving platform to another one that isn't close to you. After doing this, the boss will channel a 15-second spell that can only be interrupted by Rapid Strike in particular, and the channel is completed, the slime below erupts, and you die. The boss, instead of using melee attacks, will cast slime bolts that decrease your attack speed by 30% and prevent you from using range attacks, as well as dealing nature damage, bringing nature resistance, scaring greater nature protection potions. The boss, upon being aggroed, will create several slowly moving environmental hazards that fly around and knock you back if they come into contact with you, which will probably make you fall into the vat of slime and die. So the strategy is this: jump from platform to platform and hit the boss with melee attacks without touching the environmental hazards. Bring 315 nature resistance and some greater nature protection potions. And don't bother taking your pet out. The catcher/healing when in a base fight, which is for paladins and shamans. The boss hits like a non-elite mob, but has a mountain of health and 200% bonus move speed. 300% total. The boss is normally immune to all crowd control, but can become vulnerable to interrupt for certain extremely short periods of time. The boss, when interruptible, can be interrupted by any judgment. The boss will sometimes cast an area of effect spell if an 11-second cast item does 30,000 damage. 3.8 seconds to the spell, he'll do an emote, and 4.8 seconds to the spell, he'll do an emote and become vulnerable to interrupts. 11-second cast? This doesn't seem right. No, 5-second cast. What the hell was I thinking? Oh yeah, 11-second cast because judgment coolons. Okay. Changes 4.8 to 10.8. Changes 3.8 to 9.8. Okay. For the legendary one-hand caster / healing bot solo boss, made the interrupt vulnerability happen 10.8 seconds into the spell cast, and the warning for the vulnerability happened at interrupt vulnerability and second emote, and make the warning first emote happen at 9.8 seconds. Yes, so you're expected to. So when the boss is vulnerable to interrupt for an entire fifth of a second, you're expected to interrupt the boss unless he casts something that deals 10 fucking thousand damage. Oh wait, yeah, and doing that will stop the spell cast and deal 10,000 damage to the boss. And if you don't interrupt the AoE spell, you get hit for 30,000 to die. The boss will sometimes teleport you to a nearby room with one way in and out, and light a randomly generated maze of lethal fire, or something around you with narrow passageways, slightly less narrow if you're a male Tauren, if you're an ogre, or a male Tauren, or however, or narrow, or if you're a gnome. And some obstacles in this maze must be jumped over. While you're navigating your way around this, the boss shields the spell on you that kills you after 30 seconds and can only be interrupted by meleeing the boss. The boss will sometimes disappear for a few seconds and create 50 blue illusions, not 15 but 50 of himself. 50 illusions of himself with the exact same name as them, and then reappear. Said illusions are blue. The illusions deal 10% as much damage as the boss does and are immune to all non-direct damage, but they have 1 hit point and are immune to crowd control, but meleeing the boss even once will cause all the illusions to disappear. Additionally, wearing Iron Knuckles or casting Dust or Blink will make the boss despawn as if the fight was interfered with. So the strategy: interrupt the lethal AoE spell just before it goes off. When teleported into the maze of fire, navigate quickly and precisely through it. When the boss splits, manually target the boss and hit him with a melee attack before the illusions hit you too hard. The Thunder Fury fight. This is for warriors, rogues, and paladins. The boss hits like a non-elite mob, but has a ton of health and is immune to all crowd control and irresistible nature spells. Every 3 seconds, the boss casts an instant area of effect spell with a 50-yard radius that deals 40 nature damage to all that it hits, and if not full resistant, it applies a red debuff that increases its danger damage taken by 40 for 2 minutes. Second indefinitely. Obviously, paladins can remove the debuff with Divine Shield. The boss has many slowly moving lethal thunderstorms with 3-yard radii moving around it within a 50-yard radius at all times. The way that they move turns this into a sort of a bullet hell fight, except the bullets ricochet off the walls and seem to have a mind of their own. The boss has plus 400% movement speed, is immune to all crowd control and nature spells, and will become immune to all damage for 6 seconds at 90%, 75%, 60%, 45%, 30%, and 15% health. This fight takes place in an instance location in which you must be the only person in the instance, so nobody can help you if you're undesirable vantage point. These thunderstorms and nature damage can be replaced with fire amounts of fire damage if need be. So the strategy: bring 315 nature resistance and some great nature protection potions. Use your short damage cooldowns at 90% invulnerability, and then use the rest after the boss finishes being invulnerable with 15% health if they're back up by then. And don't touch the thunderstorms. Obviously, paladins are going to do less damage than warriors and rogues, but they're going to be able to heal themselves and bubble. So the Soul for Us fights. This is for warriors, paladins, and shamans. The boss hits like a non-elite mob, but has a ton of hit points. The boss increases your rage by much more than normal when it hits you. This will only be enough rage to do as much dancing as is necessary to beat the boss, should the player's gear be good enough. To do as much dancing as necessary to beat the boss. That part of the leader is done. The boss spellcasting speed is slowed by 200% by Ren, and by 150% by proc Ren weapon, 20 seconds per proc, and Retribution Aura, 8 seconds per damage value. Said spellcasting speed slow doesn't affect the AoE melee attack, or if it would be default, then that melee attack of its 1 second cast time reduced from 1 second to 0.3 seconds. Geez, what did I mean by that? That was really bad phrasing there. Spell casting speed slow doesn't affect the AoE melee attack. You know, fuck it doesn't affect the AoE melee attack. The boss is interrupted by all judgments upon their being casted. Upon spellcast. The boss is a lethal area of effects melee attack with a 15-yard radius of a 1 second cast time that can be stopped by disarming or stunning, but not silencing, the boss during the windup. The boss animation will change during the cast. The boss will sometimes say something and then run away a bit while you're immobilized, and then use an instant lethal area of effect ability with a 50-yard radius that can't be stopped by silencing the boss. However, if you taunt the boss while he runs away from you, he'll stop running and use that lethal ability. And not use a lethal ability. And of course, you can gouge the boss instead if you want. I mean, of course, you can gouge the boss instead to stop him from running. Wait a second, can't you only gouge from the front? Fuck, I might have to make this stream a two-parter. Target must be facing you. Wait a second and run away. Okay. Alright, rogues can't fight the spots. I forgot. Yes, rogues can't fight the spots. I completely forgot. Yes, the boss will sometimes say something and then run away a bit while you're immobilized. Then use an instant lethal area effect ability with a 50-yard radius that can't be stopped by taunting the boss. say something, immobilize you, and then run away a bit, then use an instant lethal area of effect ability for 50-yard radius that can't be stopped by silencing the boss. However, if you taunt the boss while he runs away from you, you'll stop running and not use that lethal ability. The boss, after having been in combat for 15 seconds, will sometimes use a lethal area of effect spell for the cast time of 0.3 seconds, can be slowed, is subject to silence, you're expected to interrupt it. The boss will sometimes spawn 3 little adds of 60 health that hit like a non-elite mob. The boss will sometimes spawn 3 medium adds of 300 health that hit twice as hard as a typical non-elite mob. The boss isn't immune to fear and is immune to movement impairing effects, but has a 14% chance but has a special 14% increased chance to be hit by spells. Make that 17%. Increase the chance that the solo boss for the solo boss fight for Sulfuros will get hit by spells by 30%. The boss will initially spawn a 15 of the medium adds. The boss will break your shield if you're wearing one, and regardless root you for 10 seconds with every melee attack. While you're immobilized, see below. Okay. Yes, with every melee attack, the boss will break your shield if you're wearing one, and regardless root you for 10 seconds. This boss is specifically immune to Judgment of Justice. The boss has additional disqualifying items and effects as follows: Iron Knuckles, the Shatterer, Tidal Charm, Flame Wrath, auto items with deal area effect damage, Alone Slam, Bird Smasher, auto items that can grab control an opponent outside of ruining the opponent, and Lesser Blink. Wait a second. You're intended to have to use consumables that aren't profession cooldowns. Yeah, they are expected to use profession cooldowns. Okay. Look over the existing profession cooldowns concerning the legendary weapon boss fights. So the strategy for the initial wave of medium adds, use retaliation, yes, a 30-minute cooldown, Fire Nova Totem, or Consecration to kill the adds. Keep Brand up on the boss, or use Frostbrand weapon, or use Retribution Aura. Taunt the boss when it turns around to run. Paladins and Shamans have a taunt now. Only a single target one, a regular single target taunt, but still. Interrupt its lethal area of effect spell. Use Thunderclap, Chain Lightning plus Lightning Shield, or possibly lowering a Magnet Totem, or Consecration to kill the small adds. Use Whirlwind, Fire Nova Totem, or Consecration to kill the medium adds. And don't use a shield. And then the new 2-minute mace fight. Paladin and Shaman only. The boss hits like a non-elite and prefers spellcasting and melee damage, and has a ton of health and is immune to all crowd control, including conventional interrupts. However, Crusader Strike and Storm Strike will interrupt its spellcasting when they directly deal damage to the boss. This fight is intended to last for about 5 minutes. The boss is in a small and enclosed rectangular room that's horizontally divided by a narrow pit that spans the entire height of the room. and the pit has two thin horizontal magical beams of the pit's length moving up and down over the pit in a predictable manner, leaving little room every 5 seconds for the player to safely jump across the pit. There are also two 3-yard radius vertical magical beams that shoot into the pit and travel the length of the pit in a predictable manner, leaving plenty of room for the player to avoid these large vertical beams when jumping across the pit. All 4 beams deal 80,000 arcane damage to the player when touched, and have 600 spell resistance, arcane resistance penetration. So don't touch them. Also, the pit just kills you outright if you fall in there, so don't fall in the pit either. The fight will start on one side of the room, and 5 seconds after the boss has been engaged, and every 20 seconds thereafter, the boss will teleport from its side of the room to the other side of the room, and then immediately begin a 10-second spellcast that kills you if it goes off. In order to survive this, you must jump across the pit while avoiding the beams, and then cast Storm Strike or Crusader Strike on the boss during the spellcast to interrupt it. Number 4. Additional disqualifying items and effects are as follows: slow fall effects, size change effects, appearance change effects, invulnerability change effects, excluding limited invulnerability potions, and lesser blink. Because limited invulnerability potions don't even fucking matter for that guy. So the strategy is hit the boss and save your mana for totems, seals, and healing spells. When the boss teleports, jump across the pit without touching the 4 beams, which is easy to said and done, and then cast Sword Strike or Crusader Strike on the boss before it finishes its spellcast. Number 2A. If you're an ogre or a male tauren, the beams will travel slower. Will move a bit slower. May the beams move a bit slower for the legendary 2-hand fast 2-hand mace boss fight. Solo boss fight. Woo! Okay. Now I throw up this new version of the document on Pastebin. Copy. Turn off my display real quick. Whoops, wrong link. Pastebin. Not that website. Okay, you're gonna turn display back on. I want to show you my web history. Okay. Wow, Classic Plus, Legendary Weapon Bosses. Unlisted. Okay, now to fix the formatting problems that happen when you paste from Notepad into Pastebin. So those are the legendary weapon boss fights. Jeez. Save. Save. Okay, now I can get to revising the rest of the section. I still got all shit to go. So, bitch, it's a lot. Yeah, this is going to be a 2-bar stream. Ancient Petrified Leafs drop rate will be reduced to 0.5%, seeing as how it'll start 2 legendary quest chains and not 1. I'll be turning Edge Master's Handguards into an Isle Level 6 to be carried level 50 Blue Ring, which will obviously have a higher drop rate, and rename the Ring of the Master Gladiator, which will, instead of granting +7 one-handed sword, dagger, and one-handed axe skill, grant +5 to all weapon skills and give some other stats to benefit all physical damage effects, and it'll be a world drop. This is to make +weapon skill item speed less over, etc. like we did before, while still keeping +weapon skill ratios that some races have. Having a weapon skill and destroy weapon expertise will still reduce your relentless bullet penalties, however, but the 3% hit penalty from having +0 skill won't matter as much. Versus level +3 mobs. For having 0 skill won't matter as much. The quest, Breastplate of Chromatic Flight, will now have a second reward choice of a Paladin chest. A new Isle Level 62 carry level 57 World Drop Green 2.9 Speed 1 base suffix will be added to the game called Skull Crusher of Suffix. A new character level 60, an item level 65, character level 60 World Drop Green 3.3 Speed of its suffix will be added to the game called Master Staff of Suffix. Copy. Paste. The following items will be added to the game, which are all white items. Padded Amice, Russet Amice, Embroidered Amice, Queer Bully Spalders, Studded Spalders, I hope I pronounced that right, Reinforced Letter Spalders, Polished Scale Pauldrons, Augmented Chain Pauldrons, Brigandine Pauldrons, and Plate Mail Shoulder Guards. These will all be white items. I love the character level requirements of the other items in their pseudo sets of items. Pseudo sets, as in no, they don't have any set bonuses, but they are all of the same style and similar item levels. Same items and level requirements. The following maps will be added to the game. Remember, this is based on patch 1.12.2. Green Kodo, non-epic. Teal Kodo, non-epic. Purple Kodo, non-epic. Arctic Wolf, non-epic. Red Wolf, non-epic. Ivory Raptor, non-epic. Mottled Red Raptor, non-epic. Fluorescent Green Mechanical Strider. Purple Mechanical... Yes, Fluorescent Green Mechanical Strider is epic. Purple Mechanical Strider, which is epic. Red and Blue Mechanical Strider. Yes, Red and Blue Mechanical Strider, which is epic. Swift Icy Blue Mechanical Strider, which is epic. Swift White Mechanical Strider, which is epic. And Ranged Swift Night Saber, which is epic. All of these mounts already exist in the game's files, except the Purple Kodo only exists as a model outside of one of the Goblin towns, if I recall. I think it's Everlook or Winter Spring. Everlook or Gadgetzan. Furthermore, a new Goblin mount vendor will... Yes, furthermore, a new Goblin mount vendor with no faction who is friendly to the Alliance and Horde will be added to some place in Asara who sells unique epic mounts at standard epic mount speeds. These mounts have no racial restrictions, but have standard writing skill restrictions, and said mount vendor is a friend who can teach you to write these mounts for standard skill price, for the standard prices. The mounts sold by this vendor include a version of a horse, ram, cat, mechanical strider, wolf, raptor, kodo, and undead horse of a unique color, one color per mount, which costs 9,000 gold per mount. And it also says a horse, ram, cat, mechanical strider, wolf, raptor, kodo, and undead horse of ordinary colors that have unique decorations, which cost 9,000 gold each. And he also says a horse, ram, cat, mechanical strider, wolf, raptor, kodo, and undead horse of these aforementioned unique colors that have the aforementioned unique decorations and cost 18,000 gold. This will serve as a gold sink, and even if most people wouldn't get them, there's still a decent amount of people that get them, and that gold has to come from somewhere. The quest, pull someone in the Elder as Swordin, the Dharma East quest, will offer both Sprinter's Sword and Sprite Boots rewards rather than just one of them. So the quest is to design trap, however it's called, even if the sword is of extremely niche use. Seeing it's out of sword, it's unique stats on it, but you only have one opportunity to get it. Anyway. Each Sunken Temple class quest will now give the player all 3 of its quest rewards, so that the quest is not a design trap or whatever it's called, seeing its hot triggers are so unique. And you can only get them once. A vendor will be added to Stormwind's Cathedral Square that sells Stormwind Holy Water. This holy water is fine to pick up and can be thrown at undead and demons in a 10-yard radius. And undead and demons to make a panic for 7 seconds. Uh, 10-yard radius. Range of strat. Holy water. To make the panic for 7 seconds on 4-minute cooldown, which range gods and bosses will be immune to. Stormwind Holy Water can also be used by paladins to bless their sharpening stones and weight stones. Paladins that have blacksmithing. More on this in section number 8.2, blacksmithing. I'm not going over that section in this video. Stream. The Fiery Blaze enchantment went out of a one-handed, two-hand version. 2 quest offers one of them and not both. And a one-hand version of the ancient will grant one proper range enchantment to deal 13 to 18 fire damage within a radius of 8 yards. Only 2-hand version grants one proper range enchantment to deal 32 to 46 fire damage within a radius of 8 yards. Savage rods, bone fragments, crypt parts, dark iron scraps, and cores of the elements will be removed from the game. I actually don't remember why I did that, but I'm gonna keep that removed from the game. I don't like the way those things are designed anyway, but that's probably not why I got rid of it. Anyway, next up, armor dyes that let you recolor your armor shall be added to the game that can be obtained from new dye vendors that can be found in capital cities. They can change the color of your helms. They can change the colors of your helms, shoulders, cloaks, chests, bracelets, gloves, belts, pants, and boots, but not weapon or shield, by changing the item's primary or secondary color. There will be at least 128 different colors, dyes to choose from, and an extra quotation mark dye, quotation mark that reduces your item's primary and secondary color to its normal color. And each die will cost 5 silver before discounts. And all dice will stack up all enchants, but primary dice won't stack up other primary dice, and secondary dice won't stack up other secondary dice. These technically count as secondary and tertiary permanent weapon enchants, but only technically. Tertiary colors and other colors of armor, for example, the lava cracks in the Earth Furies and the yellow triangles at the bottom of the Earth Fury or left yards, won't be changeable by dice. The following small pets in the Burning Crusader will be added to the game. Lurky's Egg from the Collector's Edition. Dragon Kite from the Trading Card Game, which is now a blue item. Calvin Weather Machine Prototype 01B from the Trading Card Game, which is now a blue item. Banana Charm and Rocket Chicken from the Trading Card Game. Silver, red, golden, and blue Dragon Hawk hatchlings. Yes, Eversong, Void, and Ghostling exists now, but you cannot go to Outlet. Bojo, who's given Frog Icon from Vanilla. The Slash Kiss interaction will never flag the pet's owner or the kisser, which will not be accomplished by deflagging the owner or kisser immediately after the kiss. Should the invisible sides change from the polymorph being issued, the polymorph will be reworked. There will also be Azor Whelpling, a new pet called Bronze Whelpling, which I listed there anyway, which comes from the new Dragon's Place outside the Academy of Time, which are elite. There will also be Brown Rabbit Crate, and Mana Wormly added to the game as small pets. Woo! How long has this stream been? Son of a bitch, 2 hours and 8 minutes already. HP5 and MP5 changes. Health for 5 seconds as a stat had inherent problems in patch 1.12.2. For farming, it was a decent stat, and for long PvE encounters, it was a decent stat. And for very long PvE encounters, it was generally good. But in short PvE encounters, it was a terrible stat, and for PvP, it was a terrible stat for all but a few niche situations. So, I'll make Health for 5 be a better stat for short PvE encounters and in PvP without making it be much better elsewhere. As such, Health for 5's new base function will read and function as such, its example being an item with 1 Health for 5 on it. Quotation mark. Equip restores 1 health for 5 seconds. At max health, restores up to 40 health for later use. Quotation mark. When seen on the rejuvenation, formerly a regeneration suffix, it'll instead read plus 1, quotation mark, plus 1 health for 5 seconds, stores 40, quotation mark, with the same function as above. And the same function as seen above. Below are all the specifics about how the stat will work. Life storage is always equal to health per 5 times 40. It'll take 3.3 repeating minutes of being at max health to reach maximum life storage. Health per 5 won't store life while you're dead or offline. And the in-game tutorials will tell you about Health per 5 when you first get your hands on it. Should tutorials be enabled, it'll spare you most of these details. All healing from HP 5 will be unaffected by plus healing from items and effects, moral strike, damage / amplify magic, and the likes of them. It'll heal you like old troll health regen does, that is, without making numbers appear over your head or in your combat log. The stored health heals you whenever a tick, like a tick of old troll health regen, occurs while you aren't at max health, and a single tick of health per 5 wouldn't bring you full hit points. Stored life will never overheal you, and stored life that is not used during a given tick will be saved for later ticks. Any scenario in which stored life and a tick of passive health regen would both go off at once, both will heal you at the same time, healing you for up to 1 tick of health per 5 plus stored life, again not consuming enough stored life to overheal you, but instead saving that stored life for when it wouldn't overheal you. Unequipping a health per 5 item or canceling a health per 5 effect will wipe its stored life, but not that of unequipped HP 5 items or effects, without healing you, meaning that each health per 5 effects, items, and effects life storages are separate from those others. All sorts of health per 5 will heal in the same manner, including Demon Skin, Runebladed Baron Rivender's Aura, Troll's Blood Potions, and other HP 5 stuff. Copy. Paste. Now to compare health per 5 to stamina. 1 health per 5 costs exactly 5.70188492063493 itemization points, and he can get about 26.3, rounded down to 26, for 150 itemization points. 1 stamina costs 1 itemization point, and he can get 150 stamina for 150 itemization points. If you had 150 stamina, then you'd have an extra 1,500 maximum hit points right off the bat, and you'll be assumed to be at max health at the start of a given fight. If you instead had 26 health per 5, then you could go into a fight with 1,040 life stored ahead of time. 26 times 40 equals 1,040. And then you'd heal for 10.4, 10 with a chance of 11 health per tick, 2 seconds. So if you go into a fight with maximum stored life and then you spend all the fight at 100% minus 11 health or less, then you'll gain more overall health from 26 health per 5 than from 150 stamina if the fight lasts for more than 90 seconds, but you'd get less of it lasting for less than 90 seconds. Make sure I didn't have so many consistency there. But you'd get less than if it lasts for But you'd get less if it lasted for less than 90 seconds, though if health per 5 could have decimal values, then that 90 would be reduced to 85. Also, the effect description of That is, if the fight lasts for more than 85 seconds. Should help for 5 get the decimal values that you can. Also, the effective description of help for 5 is a bit long for non-specific science. I'd make it shorter if I knew that. Mana for 5 will be changed like help for 5 because it sucked PvP due to fights generally being short. It'll get 40 mana storage, not 34 because it likes in spell crit, per MP5 and be worth 3.421130952380954 itemization points per MP5, which is exactly 60 as much, which is exactly 60% as much as help for 5 dwarf, and it'll take 55 seconds for the value of MP5 to equal the value of plus mana, as opposed to plus int. For my reference, the value of MP5 is calculated from attack power, convert to elemental damage, convert to healing, not plus healing, convert to mana on cooldown, convert to MP5, and then you just evaluate it by 0.6 to get HP5. Ooh, jeez, that reminds me, I recently recalculated the value of elemental damage. So I'm going to have to recalculate the value of HP5 and MP5. Since I recently recalculated the value of elemental damage, go and recalculate the values of HP5 and MP5 too. Damn, I'm gonna have to do that too. Okay, that's not gonna be too amazingly much to do, but I'll do it later. Fuck. Okay, it's been like 2 hours and 15 minutes nearly, so I'm just gonna cut the stream short and do more of this later. Fuck, it takes forever. Alright, see you sometime later. I want to not ruin my voice.